Hello, hello everybody. Thanks for being here. So we have a lot to talk about. It is a first alert weather day. Steve is there standing by to talk about all things weather related. We have a winter storm warning. We've got a impending blizzard warning later this afternoon. And I'm going to make sure that everybody can hear me here. Make sure that people.
Can you hear me, Aisha?
Yes. Hello.
For me, your volume's a little faint.
A little faint. Okay. How about that?
Keep going.
So it's about as far as I can go.
Okay. It might be on my end then.
So we are live, Steve. Wave to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, just waiting for a couple of people to get on and join us. If you can just say in the comments whether or not you can hear us, hopefully you can. Just let us know. That really is helpful. And Steve, you can hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Awesome.
I'll have to put my listening ears on to hear your comments back to me. One thing that might help is that I've got a TV that has a little bit of volume to it. I'll just make sure it's at zero. That will
Okay,
help.
Melissa says she can hear us both very clearly, so
That's
good.
excellent. And that really is the important part, isn't it?
Awesome. Tanya
Right?
can too. Yeah, they're more important.
Technology. Best friend, worst enemy, all rolled into one. But we'll figure this out.
Absolutely. So hi, everybody. Aisha Morales here from the First Alert Safety Desk, and Chief Meteorologist Steve Beylon joining me this morning. We're just going to have a very casual conversation, but it is very serious stuff.
Yeah.
Very serious. I'm going to get on WBAY.com so I can follow along with you, Steve, because we've got a lot going on. We've got the blizzard warning issued that will kick in later this afternoon, but we've already gotten into our winter storm warning. So I'm going to kind of let you take it away, and then if I have any questions, I'll ask.
Sure. That sounds good. Feel free. I'm going to switch the video source here,
Sure.
and feel free to switch it back to this two-shot whenever you have any questions.
Sure.
All right. So, folks, here's where we're at with this storm system. We are all under a winter storm warning, all the white shaded counties. Now, that includes the ones that are in purple, too. So the Fox Cities, Green Bay, Manitowoc, Kewaunee, Calumet, Dorr, you guys are in the winter storm warning just like everybody else. But here's the thing. In those purple shaded counties, you get upgraded to a blizzard warning starting at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And, you know, winter storm warnings are serious, but blizzard warnings are just a step above that. That's when it gets to be really serious. Now, what exactly makes up a blizzard warning? Well, you need to have visibility down to a quarter of a mile or less. It doesn't even necessarily have to be falling snow. Even snow just blowing and drifting can be part of a blizzard warning. It's possible. But anyway, winds need to be sustained or frequently gusting 35 miles an hour or higher, and it has to last at least 3 hours. And in this case, it is going to last more than 3 hours. So let's see what's going on with First Alert Viper Max. There's the snow making its way to the north, just arriving into Green Bay, Manitowoc. It's been snowing in the Fox Cities for a little while. There is a little bit of a lull in the snow. Do you see it? That little donut hole from about, say, Menasha, Oshkosh, south down towards Fond du Lac, over towards Campbellsport. That's just temporary, though, because look at all the snow that's still back to our south. In fact, that little lull in the snow there in southern Wisconsin, see how it's getting filled back in? So if you get a break in the snow, I expect it to be very temporary. The snow will become widespread as we go into this afternoon. So later today, our severe weather outlook is in the high category. We're going under a blizzard warning across east central Wisconsin. What does this mean for you? It means whiteout travel conditions, blowing and drifting, especially in rural areas, and travel is strongly not recommended. You know, some people have to go out because they have certain jobs that require it. But if travel is not necessary, then why risk it? I mean, you know what? If people can get out of work early, that may or may not be possible, then try to get home and just hunker down and have a quiet Friday evening back at the house where you don't have to worry about what Mother Nature's doing until perhaps the following morning when maybe you have to do some shoveling and some snow blowing. So let's see. We've got our forecast for today. Snow is developing. There's wind. The snow and the wind is going to get more intense as we go into the midday and the afternoon. And then we're in that blizzard later today. Our temperatures will be holding pretty steady with all that wind and snow. We'll see a high of 32 degrees. All right, so there's the storm. It's that low pressure system that's over towards Missouri, and it's tracking directly into the Great Lakes. And we're on the cold side of that storm system, so we're not going to get the rain and the thunderstorms that are farther south. So here's First Alert Pinpoint Predictor, and this is at 9 o'clock, and that's a pretty good match compared to what you saw on the radar from Viper Max. You know, it's about, say, 15, 20 minutes from now. So the snow continues to expand towards the north. And notice you're getting more of that blue shading as we go into the afternoon. That's the moderate to heavy snow that's expected later today. The drive home, the traditional evening drive time home, is going to be a very difficult drive. Snow-packed roads, extremely poor visibility, especially in rural areas where it could be whiteout conditions. And here's the big reason why. Not only are you getting the snow, but you're getting all that wind out of the northeast. Look at those gusts, 40, close to 50 miles an hour, and this is going to cause a lot of blowing and drifting. Now, you may be wondering about the type of snow. I think initially it will be a little on the wet side because temperatures are close to the freezing mark, but as we start to drop down into the 20s tonight, it'll become more and more fluffy, which is bad news in regards to visibility. It'll blow and drift a lot easier if it becomes more fluffy, so that's more of an issue tonight, especially during the overnight hours. Now, Saturday morning, there's still going to be a lot of blowing and drifting because it's going to be very blustery out there, but at least the snow showers are starting to diminish. So the snow tapers. Can't rule out a couple flakes Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening, but for all intents and purposes, by then the storm's pretty much done. By the time we get to lunch, a lot of us have 1 to 3 inches on the ground. Early this evening, about a half a foot, and there, right there, are the final totals on First Alert Pinpoint Predictor. In the valley, 10, 11 inches, give or take. So a lot of folks across eastern Wisconsin are going to be in the swath of 8 to 12 inches of snow. But do you see that purple band from interior portions of Door County down into Kewaunee, down towards Denmark, over towards New Holstein, Kiel, Campbell, Sport, those interior areas there of Sheboygan County? That's where the totals could exceed a foot. If you get that northeast wind coming off the bay, off of Lake Michigan, there's going to be some lake effects, some lake enhancement, and that's going to help to jack up those totals a little bit higher compared to folks that may be a few miles to the side of you there. So that's where I think the totals could be up around 12 to 16 inches through tomorrow morning. So your severe weather outlook, as I mentioned, is high. That'll be that case for tonight. Tomorrow is still a First Alert weather day as the storm tries to get out of here. We'll drop the risk down to the moderate category. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, low risks of severe weather, but for a different reason, because of harsh wind chills. Our feel-like temperatures are going to be falling back into the single digits, our high temperatures in the single digits. Our wind chills will be in the teens and 20s below zero. So right now we're at 30 degrees in Appleton, 30 in Green Bay, we're at 32 degrees in Kewaunee. And along with that temperature of 30, our wind chill is 20. We've got a northeast wind at 13 miles an hour. That wind is nothing. It's going to be a lot stronger later today. So snow likely, turning windy, whiteout conditions late today, high temperature of 32 degrees. Tonight, a blizzard warning, 8 to 12 inches of snow, higher totals towards the lakeshore, especially a few miles inland from the water. Low temperature of 20. We continue the First Alert weather day into tomorrow. Most of the final totals will be about 8 to 12 inches. We got the plus symbol in there, especially for you folks by the lakeshore. And there are those single-digit high temperatures I mentioned on your First Alert 7-day forecast. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Harsh wind chills in the teens and 20s below zero. You know, it's quite possible at some point during that 3-day stretch, the Weather Service decides to issue like a wind chill advisory or two. If they do that, it's quite possible that we may have to upgrade to First Alert weather days for any of those days there, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So that's something that bears some watching even after this winter storm gets on out of here and the temperatures begin to rebound a little bit early in the following week. Wednesday, Thursday is our highest, get back into the teens. So it looks like Aisha, after a kind of a quiet start to winter, kind of a ho-hum yawner from Old Man Winter, we're starting to see some real winter weather today and settling in for next week.
So, Steve, somebody did have a question, and you might have said it, but just in case they missed it, Nicole is asking, what do you think of travel across the state before noon tomorrow?
I think it's going to be very difficult. I think I think, in the morning, some of the major highways and the major streets will get plowed out sooner. And so as the morning wears on, those will get better. But I do suspect that Saturday morning, there'll still be a lot of rural routes that are completely snow covered and maybe even impassable. So if you can delay that travel till later Saturday morning, especially Saturday afternoon, you'll be in much better shape. I think early Saturday, it's probably still going to be a mess, as a lot of the road crews are just trying to catch up from all that snow and all that wind.
That makes sense. I guess we got to just be safe no matter what.
Well, that's what we hope people do. The thing is, though, Aisha, listen, we try to encourage people to make, good decisions, but sometimes there's other factors that we're not aware of. We're in these boxes here in this TV studio. We don't necessarily know all the logistics that are going on with your family or your job. So, maybe you have to get on the road because you have employment where it's a must. But we're just suggesting that if it's not necessary to travel, then why? But that's up to you folks who are watching at home or wherever you're watching, on your phone or your tablet or whatever, to make decisions that are hopefully keeping you safe, that are best for you.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, thank you for taking the time. I know that you have Action 2 News mid-morning here at 9 a.m.
Yep.
So if people want to flip on, well, you can stay online and watch that at 9 a.m. or on TV, and I'm sure you'll have a little bit more go into your forecast again if people miss something.
I will, and I understand you've got some winter weather safety stories that you wanted to talk about.
I sure do. So I'm going to stick around if everybody wants to hang out with me. I'll let you go, Steve, so you could do your thing. Appreciate your time, and then I'll get into some first alert safety desk stuff.
Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you, Steve. All right, so plenty to talk about, and we appreciate Steve for taking the time to do that. I'm going to go, there we go. Just a lot that's headed our way. I know that earlier, I'm going to try to take that down there. And everybody just let me know if there's any audio funny business happening. I want to talk about First Alert Safety Desk. If you watch the morning show, I talk a lot about safety things, some common sense things. And in fact, yesterday I covered the fact that a guy, I don't know the situation, but he got his hand stuck in a snowblower. And just the day before that, I mentioned something very common sense about not doing that. So these things do happen. That is why we mention it. There's a reason why. But for today, I normally recap, safety desk stories on Fridays. But this week has been so active in the weather department that most of my stories this week and what I've been talking about have been weather related. If you pull up, if you're ever on our website, WBAY.com, and I'm going to click here so you guys can see it. There it is. You scroll down and see the safety desk tab right here. Click that. And if you want to see any of the stories that I talked about throughout the week, just scroll and check it out. So we're going to talk about a couple of these this morning. So first and foremost, so we can prepare everybody for this winter storm, I have this ready for you. Staying connected. I think this is so important. We mention a lot those WBAY apps. We have both a news app, we have a weather app. Those are free that you can get. In fact, I actually think I have Steve's weather app right here that you can download. So it's via the App Store or the Google Play. You can get that. Very helpful. You can, as far as the notifications, you can determine what you get. So that's really cool. We have the news app, so in case there's like a tow ban or something like that in your area, you are alerted right away as far as what's going on in your area, in our region across Northeast Wisconsin. So going back to that graphic I just had, staying connected, really important. Sign up for those free emergency alerts. Outagamie County has one, Brown County has one. They've got the code red that is very, very helpful. Have a way to charge your cell phone if you lose power. Keep in mind carbon monoxide dangers. That is another big thing that I was talking about this week. I'm going to take that out here. I'm going to go to the website here. I pulled up right here the Red Cross has this winter storm safety. It's really cool. So it talks about what you can do before, during, and after a winter storm. So obviously you want to plan. You hear that. We sound like a broken record today, but it's so important. Stay warm indoors, prevent frostbite, hypothermia, especially as we get into those really cold temperatures next week. We talk a lot about gathering those supplies, making sure you have food, water, medicine, those important medications in case you do get snowed in or in case something happens with your car. Make sure you have all of your basic needs and your medications. Organize those supplies, have a go kit, have a stay at home kit, all of that. This is really helpful, and I have the link on WBAY.com of what we're looking at right here. Those kits are super handy. Just make sure you have everything that you need. Just looking at some of your comments. You're welcome, Nicole. Thank you for asking the question. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm just gonna keep talking about safety and try to keep you guys safe. That is my goal. So again, going down the list here with the Red Cross, and super helpful. I love this website because it helps me do my job. It has all the things that you can do to make sure that you're safe in case of a storm. Earlier this week, we saw that wet, heavy snow, but the one this weekend is really concerning me. And you heard Steve talking about it. What is worrisome about this one is the whiteout conditions, the blizzard conditions. So that blizzard warning will kick in later this afternoon. You're going to hear our meteorologist talking about that throughout the day, throughout the evening, and into tomorrow. Hunker down if you can. So getting back to those things that you need to do to stay safe. Emergency skills, I talked about that this morning, learning the first aid, CPR, things like that. As we get into Monday, I'll talk a little bit more about frostbite, hypothermia, things like that. But installing and testing smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors with backup batteries, that's really important. Just assume that you're going to live without power, gas, and water, just in case. Have what you need at home if you can. There are obviously other options if that is not something that you have that is accessible to you. So just keep all of this in mind. I think the biggest thing too, something I think about is some of my older friends. Make sure that you're checking on them. Make sure that you're checking on older family members as well. These are just reminders. I know you guys know all of this, but this is just planting that bug in your ear this morning because we want everybody to stay safe. So checking in on those older family members and friends, making sure that they have what they need, batteries for their medical supplies, just in case they lose power, having their medications. What else? I want to go back to that website just in case I missed something. Let's go down the list here together. So, yep, it has preparation tips for the whole family. Here's what to do during a storm, once you're hunkering down. I think carbon monoxide is a big talker when it comes to staying safe during a storm because especially the drifting snow that we're expecting to see, you want to make sure that you're clearing your vents, your furnace vents out there because carbon monoxide, you can't see it, you can't smell it. That is very dangerous. It could be deadly. So you want to do that, taking care of that. Only use generators, grills, and camp stoves outdoors and away from windows. This is common sense stuff, but it does happen. So especially with those generators, keep those away from the house. Carbon monoxide is a concern with that too. So they go into more hypothermia stuff, but it is just as important on a day like today and tomorrow. First alert weather days, it does go into tomorrow on Saturday, which is probably a good thing because a lot of people hopefully will be able to stay home and avoid it and hunker down like we are. And then here, how you can stay safe after a storm, which I found really interesting because you don't really always think about that. You think, oh, it's over. When you're shoveling, make sure you're taking lots of breaks and listening to your body. If you are getting overtired, take care of your heart in that situation. You don't want to get overworked. Some people have had heart attacks while they're shoveling. We want to avoid that. Take those breaks when you need it. Steve talked about every 4 hours doing that. That is very important. The snowblower situation, don't put your hand in a snowblower, things like that. So just little things that you want to keep in mind even after a storm. Checking your exhaust pipe from your car, making sure that's cleared because again, carbon monoxide. So let me look at some of these comments here. I know some of you are, a little skeptical about the amount of snow that you might be getting, but make sure that you follow along with our meteorologists. That's really important because they're tracking it. Mother Nature does her thing. And then there is the factor of winds and drifting and things like that. But those rural roads are definitely something that we want to watch for. I talked about the life-saving skills, first aid, installing your carbon monoxide detectors, making sure your pets are ready to go. We talked about all of that. Going on WBAY.com, that is very helpful. And signing up for our push alerts as well, because you're going to get what's happening right on your phone. And you can see our top story this morning is the blizzard warning that's issued starting this afternoon. Lots to talk about. Our Kristen Allen was at the airport this morning talking about how the winter storm could impact Packers fans' flights to Dallas, so that is also a concern. But this week, at least from the First Alert Safety Desk, it was all things weather and making sure that you're keeping yourself, your family, your kids, your pets safe while this is happening, even after. So at the bottom of the screen, we've also mentioned the fact that there are closures today. By now, kids already know if they're off school or not, but there are some organizations and churches and events and things that have been canceled. So stay tuned for that. And make sure that you tune in here pretty soon for Action 2 News Mid-Morning. That starts at 9 a.m. here in just a second. And I'll just jump off so that you can maybe tune into that, because that is live coverage with Catherine and Steve talking about the forecast and all things safety as well. And then throughout the day, check out Action 2 News at noon and all of our other newscasts, especially as we get into that 3 p.m. hour when the blizzard warning kicks in. That's really when you want to pay attention to things, because that's when the storm is evolving and probably getting into its worst. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate some of you chiming in, asking those very important questions, and doing all that you can to stay safe. We really, really care about all of you and want you to be safe out there. Just looking at the roads, I'll leave you there. That is looking pretty good. So hopefully our road crews are able to stay ahead of this, but we're definitely grateful for all of them keeping our roads clear and safe. Be safe out there. Have a good weekend.